I think we can all admit that F moves are tricky to learn as a beginner. R and U moves tend to be easier since we grip cubes in a way that allows us to execute those moves effortlessly. This is even true for beginners who learn how to solve the Rubik's Cube for the first time. However, F moves require beginners to often rotate the cube or regrip in order to be executed. Doing so can waste multiple seconds in a solve. So I'll be showing you how to execute fast F move finger tricks so you can implement them in your solves, increase your TPS, and allow yourself to achieve flow state during F2L and algorithms. But first, there are 3 things you should keep in mind before learning these tricks. Number 1. You must use a speed cube to execute these finger tricks. No, a Rubik's brand speed cube won't cut it. But considering that almost every cuber who is under the age of 15 owns twice the amount of speed cubes in my collection, I'm sure you have completed this step. Number 2. If you are ambidextrous, you must choose a dominant hand for cubing. There's nothing wrong in knowing how to mirror moves with your non-dominant hand, but during solves, having a dominant hand will allow you to cut down pauses. This is because you will know which hand to use for an F move finger trick in the split second you have to recognize it. You will immediately regrip your left or right hand to execute that move rather than trying to remember that alternative finger trick you learned for your non-dominant hand. Therefore, it is useless to rely on both hands equally, because you're better off getting used to having a dominant hand, at least for cubing. I am right-handed, but in case you're not, I will mirror the cases I will show in this video. Lastly, there is not one way to execute each F move. When you learn the beginner method, you probably did a U move the same way every time. But I'm sure you've watched solve videos where cubers have done U moves differently, maybe by pushing the top layer or dragging their index finger to do a U2. In the same way, there are multiple ways to do an F, F prime, and F2. You should use the finger trick that will best suit the algorithm or case you get in a solve. I will show you 5 main finger tricks that you should be familiar with, and an extra 2 special finger tricks that are not necessarily important but are applicable in rare cases. The main finger tricks will be shown in this order: index finger flicks, non-dominant hand index finger flicks, index finger push, thumb push, and double flicks. These special finger tricks are as follows: thumb drag and ring finger drag. Alright, so the first finger trick that I'll be showing is the index finger flick. So in order to execute this, you'll want to have your thumb on the bottom of the cube and the rest of the fingers on the top. Now you'll notice that your index finger is placed on the correct spot in order to flick it across the F layer, like this. Now, keep in mind that you'll want to have your left hand gripped loosely, otherwise you can squish the cube and you'll be unable to perform the alg. So the algorithm that I'll use to demonstrate this is the T-perm. So the T-perm goes like this, and after this R prime, you'll notice that my index finger is placed in the correct position to do the index finger flick, like that. And if you're a lefty, it would look like this. Next up is the non-dominant hand index finger flick. So here, instead of having your thumb on the bottom, you'll want to have both thumbs in the front, and you won't move your left hand like this. You'll have it so that your thumb is in the front, and you'll just flick your index finger across the front layer. The tricky part of this finger trick is that you must have your pinky in the middle of these 2 layers, otherwise they can misalign. So if I don't have this pinky here, then I can accidentally flick both layers, and that could mess up my solve. So to avoid that, you'd have to have your pinky in between these layers. It may feel awkward at first, but with practice, you'll get used to it. And the algorithm that I'll be using to demonstrate this is a J-perm. So after the first 3 moves of the J-perm, you'll have to do an F prime, and in this situation, it'll be best to do the index finger flick with my non-dominant hand. If you're a lefty, it would look like this. Now I'll be showing you the index finger push. So instead of flicking your index finger like this, you'd want to push it like this. So you're just pushing the right sticker of the top corner on the F layer, like that. And I'll also be using a J-perm to demonstrate this. So for the F prime, I can do this. But personally, I don't do that. I use the non-dominant hand index finger flick. If you're a lefty, it would look like this. Now I'll show the thumb push. So you'll also want to have a standard grip like this, and you'll just push your thumb against the bottom corner of the F layer, like this. And to demonstrate this, I'll use the TOLL. So at the end of this algorithm, you'll see me do a thumb push, like that. If you're a lefty, it would look like this. So now we'll be moving on to double flicks. So personally, I've never came across a situation where I had to use my non-dominant hand to do an F2. So I'll be showing the dominant hand F2. So you'll have your thumb on the bottom again, and you'll do an F with your index finger, and your middle finger will follow it, like that. It's essentially a U2, except your thumb is on the bottom. And I'll use a G perm to demonstrate this. I don't think there's any other algorithm that has an F2 in it that I use apart from the G perm, but I'm not sure about that. So here's how that looks. And if you're a lefty, it would look like this. Alright, so now we'll move on to the special cases. Keep in mind that these may be a bit trickier to execute than the other ones. So first we'll start off with a thumb drag. So in the thumb push, you push your thumb against the bottom corner of the F layer like this. In the thumb drag, it's the opposite. You push down on the top corner of the F layer like this. Now the algorithm that I'll use to show this is a fish OLL. At least that's what I call it. So the first move of this is an F, and it's easy enough to do this finger trick, and it'll make it easier for the algorithm to flow without regrips. Again, here it is. If you're a lefty, it would look like this. The next special finger trick is the ring finger drag. So in order to execute this, you'll want to grip your right hand or your dominant hand so that your thumb is on the top of the cube and the rest of the fingers are on the bottom. And you'll notice that your ring finger is on the bottom of the F layer, and you can flick it like this. Like that. So in order to demonstrate this finger trick, I'll show an F2L case. So this F2L pair over here is facing upward and needs to go into this slot here. So what I can do an F, and then I can insert this pair into here with an R prime UR, and you'll notice that my thumb is on the top and my ring finger is on the bottom. So I can just do the ring finger drag and push my ring finger up to do the F prime. So again, here it is. And if you're left-handed, it would look like this. Alright, so those were all the finger tricks. Keep in mind that one finger trick may not be optimal in every situation. You have to experiment with the finger tricks and see which finger trick is best for which situation. Also, make sure that you practice executing each finger trick flawlessly before you integrate them into yourselves. Let me know which finger trick video you want to see me make next. But other than that, keep cubing, and I'll see you in the next one.